Good morning, everybody in the 330 to go. This is Matt Magaw, and I am joined today. This is not Mike.
I have hair.
Oh, shots fired right off the rip. You see, we're already late. There's a little sound effects. Even the crowd loves. I like it. Tim, how are you feeling today?
Tim Nichols, I'm feeling great.
Okay, so what brings you to the show? How are you here? How did they let you back in for a second time?
If you watched last year when you were gone,
yeah, it was a good show.
I sat in your chair.
Oh, you want to switch?
Well, no, we'll stay where we are right now.
That. All right.
So
all right.
CVCA live stream. I apparently now that you asked me back for a second year.
Yes, absolutely. So, I wanted to get you capture you to be able to kind of talk about exactly what you just mentioned, and we're 100% going to get to that, guys. As we're going to get going here real quick, ticker's running right across the bottom. We'll start running through them. Tim, anything jumps out, and if I accidentally call you Mike, I'm already hitting the disclaimer.
Mike?
Right, exactly. Who is Mike? But if
Mike
I do,
is
it's
on.
What? Mike is on out. Mike's getting his mind right, getting his body right, soul right. Mike's out taking care of himself like he should. He is out on vacation this week because the man is 10-0 in pick'ems, and I'm sick of him winning. So I told him to get lost.
Get lost. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of here. So, all right, let's roll through the scores here real quick from week 5. Austintown Fitch beats Bookdale 35-7. Carrollton beats Garfield 10-7. That was an interesting one that me and Mike kind of talked a little bit about last week. The one that stuck out to me, Hoban 45-14 over St. Ignatius.
Ignatius having a hard time the last year and a half since Coach Kyle left.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks ago, they got Walsh, and Walsh put up a very similar score, and Hoban kind of comes back and does the exact same thing. I think it starting to run those parallels.
It's week 6, but Hoban Walsh down the road. Ooh, oh, man.
I like where your mind's at. I like where his mind's at. Highland 49-0 over Talmadge. Manchester a 31-11 winner over Orville.
Manchester 5-0, 1-19 the last 2 seasons, 5-0 for the first time since 2010.
Nervous? A little nervous? That Manchester. You're paying very close attention.
We'll see. Manchester has been the king of the pack for decades. Mm-hmm. Probably their worst stretch. We'll talk about Kevin Stacey, but just 5-0.
He's been
Panthers
tearing it up, especially when the Northwest let him get away, and then he goes back there
and beats them. Yeah. Manchester with the win.
Manchester with the win.
Walsh.
Walsh Firestone was a 49-0.
They played a game.
It was homecoming. It was a good game. I give Firestone a ton of credit. Kids got out there and got after it and didn't give up. So it was a good win for Walsh to continue to move on. They get Benny, but we'll talk maybe here a moment about that. Rootstown 34-6 over North. Aurora a 49-12 winner over Copley. Barberton 17-3 over Kent Roosevelt. Barberton, game of the week. That was their first win, and we will mention that definitely a little bit later here in the show. Revere 49-0 over Falls. Stow 21-19 over Solon.
Stow, big win. They've had a rough time the last couple of years. Big win over a perennial strong team in Solon. 21-19 getting off the schneid.
I like the schneid. That's a good one. I haven't heard that in a minute. Wadsworth 56-14 over Brecksville. Nordonia 46-13 over North Royalton. Norton beats Field 28-6. Field, a team that really got their season off on a different foot that they weren't used to in years past. But Norton was kind of lying in the weeds. Norton's got a nice matchup tonight. Norton, that's a big win for Norton.
Perennial good program there and a good win last week.
That was a very, very big win. Woodridge 13-0 over Ravenna.
Speaking of schneids.
Oh, okay. Another one.
First win of the year and a shutout to go with it.
See, it's nothing like the defense showing up and exactly doing it. Sets a tone. Watch out for the Bulldogs. They might get it going. Streetsboro 49-0 over Akron Springfield. CVCA.
Who are they?
I don't know. Who are they? What happened last week? Tell me, Tim.
Well, I got to call that game 21-10 over Canton South.
Okay. So how'd it go? Break it down. What was the highlights of the game?
Joey Kopech finally got off. 191 yards rushing. The Royals kept it on the ground.
Wow.
And pretty much squeezed the life out of Canton South.
That's sick. Squeeze the life. That is. I like how you word that. My goodness, man. All right. Well, moving on. McKinley represent. Exactly. McKinley 38-7 over Perry. Hoover 23-16 over Louisville. That was kind of a shocker to me. Louisville is a very tough team. North Canton, again, been up and down. They lost to Green previously in the week before, but they come back and pick up.
You never know on a Friday night, any given night, they say.
Well,
Hoover with the win.
Exactly. Canton Central Catholic 27 to Alliance's 14. Northwest 31-14 over Fairless. Minerva beats St. Thomas Aquinas 16-7. And per the notes from Mike, snaps a 33-game losing streak.
That
for the
game
Lions.
got a lot of publicity. The two teams, the longest losing streaks in, I think, Ohio history coming together. Minerva finally getting the win. Unfortunately for Aquinas, their losing streak goes to 31, I believe, with that loss.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
But, I mean, you got to feel good for the kids from Minerva.
Yeah.
They put in the time just like everybody else, and finally to celebrate on a Friday night.
Well, yeah, the win's the win, but I mean, I didn't realize that the losing streak was over there. Man, I need to start doing some more homework. I'm not paying attention enough of this stuff. Nice stat, Tim. I like that, man. Good job. Garaway 41-8.
So you'll ask me back.
Yeah, I think he's already coming back. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Right.
I like where we're going with
Garaway.
this. Garaway 41-8 over Malvern, and West Branch 48-13 over Highland.
Talk about a program that continues to just manhandle and overpower teams. West Branch.
They're on.
I mean, year after year after year.
That spread offense is no joke.
It is.
They just plug kids,
and they've got it going.
They be able to, as soon as they get the quarterback play out there has been so strong. I think that's one thing that I've noticed out of 6 weeks, 5 weeks coming into 6 is how important quarterback play is in high school football. These kids have strong arms. We know they can throw it a mile, but it's reading that defense and fitting in these windows, because the speed that's on this field on defense any given Friday night,
right,
you have no clue. I mean, how quick these kids are until you're there in person.
Yep.
How much, I mean, week after week, how shocked are you? I mean, it just continues to make you go, huh?
Yeah, there's some playmakers out there in West Branch every single year.
Every year. See how they are. So, recapping last week, and I'd mentioned Mike is not allowed to be in today because he.
Do I get credit for 5-0 for him?
I'll give it to anybody.
I'll give it
to anybody at this point. Mike is just on a heater. Okay, this guy, everything he's picking, it's a winner. So. If you're looking to cash in right now, you might want to get with Mike. Last week, Mike goes 5-0. I go 4-1, and the fans go 3-2. How did that happen? We'll run through them. Poland Seminary and that's this upcoming week. Mogadore and Ellett, 34-18. Everybody had picked Mogadore, so we weren't losers there. Ursuline, 35-0 over Harding. All of us were winners as well there. Would have you picked it that way?
I probably would have.
Have you seen Ursuline play at all?
I have not seen them in person, but you watch them from afar. They're Youngstown. It's a long drive. I'm at CVCA on Friday nights. So
you know something about it. At least they got good Italian down there.
They do have good Italian.
Yeah, see, I got to relate food into it at some point.
Maslin.
How shocked were you? Were you shocked?
I think a 10 score or a 10-point score spread, Maslin over St. Ed's.
Anytime any of these bigger powerhouse teams in the state of Ohio lose by 10 or more, 2 touchdowns, it kind of makes you put in perspective, what was that game really like? Because sometimes there's that late touchdown at the end of the game, makes it seem like the score was kind of there. Not so much. What's going on, though, not to sidebar with
let's
St.
sidebar here because they played again last night.
What in the world is going on in Ohio football?
There's a host of games tonight. We may have already had the game of the week last night.
Easily.
At Baldwin Wallace. So Glenville 28, St. Ed's 27. A 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter at the end fails for St. Ed's, and Glenville, last year's Division IV state champ over last year's Division I state champ.
Do you think that puts the state of Ohio on notice that forget this talk about divisions?
I don't know if it's forget to talk about divisions, but I think it definitely puts Division IV on notice if they weren't already. I mean, Glenville's in that division. They lost a couple of games, but they have a schedule which is just unbelievable in the front end.
It's almost like to start looking at that Division IV, like who can match up with that kind of powerhouse of a team that can go and beat St. Ed's.
Yeah, well, West Branch, we talked about them. Glenville.
Yeah.
So and on the other shoe, St. Ed's now 3-3.
Mm-hmm. Who would have thought that? But their schedule, and they have Hoban coming up in a couple of weeks.
I was looking at that at the end of the year. Hoban, let's say they're 6-4. Do you want St. Ed's in the first round of the playoffs?
No.
Division I?
No
way.
I mean, it depends on how that seating kind of comes out to who's sitting there. But could you imagine Ed sitting back there at like 4, 5, and 6 in the ranking?
So I just go back a year, and in my own experience, CVCA was the 10 seed. They drew 7-seeded Chardon. Yeah. Who went to the state semifinal.
Exactly. Like here's the luck of your draw.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I don't know, but that like last week, that Maslin, I think that lets us know the conversation was who's the toughest team in the state of Ohio. And I think a lot of people, around this area, we throw out the same names. your Hoban, your St. Ed's, your Massillon. Which one's there? Walsh is now kind of getting into the picture a little bit this year because we're starting to see these matchups and these, when you saw these schedule early in the year, there were games that were circled. And we're starting to get up to those circle games where you're going to start giving you a real good idea of what the playoffs is going to look like. Because really, a lot of these teams, I hate to say it, sometimes they're playing for week 11.
Week 11.
Exactly.
Well, you know what?
You kidding me?
Week 6 right now, getting into the heart of conference play.
Exactly.
Some of these smaller
11
conferences.
-6, so I got 5 more weeks. That's
math.
Playoffs?
Last week you said math was hard.
It is hard. Will you help me?
I think you're doing all right.
Doing all right. Thanks. Tim
All right.
watched. Tim was there last
I
week.
did
He's
watch the
watching.
show.
I like it.
All right, Master,
All
we
right,
got 2
back
more
to it.
games.
Back to
Triway.
it. Triway 42-7. Thanks for getting me back on track.
Pack game?
That was the game though that the fans lost. So that was the extra one.
With all due respect to Triway and their beautiful new Bell Stores field.
Okay.
Brock Dial's got some rebuilding to do down there, and he's got to get it done. There's no doubt.
He's got definitely a lot going on. That's pretty good.
But Triway put it on Tuslaw last week.
Yeah, 42-7. So the fans lost that one. I had lost to St. Ed's. That the fans picked Massillon. Mike picked Massillon. I picked Ed's. That was my loss. And then our game of the week, Lake 27-0 over Glen Oak. Which going into that game, I think we kind of felt that's the way that direction was going. Lake is playing some really, really good football, especially as they're moving into that federal. And that's a statement. The federal league, you never know what you're going to get. And as we coined it for the day, any given Friday night, right?
There you go.
So exactly. Outstanding stats of players last week. Anybody that popped off to you?
Well, Chase Badger at the top of the list. Some notes sent in by Mike, but Chase Badger for the Northwest Indians, 27 of 31, 352 yards against, I believe it was Fairless. Is that right?
Correct.
Just a heck of a game. Chase Badger willing the Indians. They lost Parker Kraft earlier this year, and Chase Badger at the quarterback spot put Northwest into the equation. They rebounded off that loss the week before in overtime to Manchester. A big game by Chase Badger.
Huge night. Darius Hill got it going as well, the sophomore out of Canton, McKinley. He had 4 catches for 160 and 2 TDs. 23 yards and 56 yards. They're going to need him 100% tonight because they're taking on the Green Bulldogs. And that is a real big game that a lot of people are talking about in the area. And I'm from Green. I can tell you one of the weird stats that's coming out is Green has the opportunity for the first time to start undefeated in the Federal League.
So put you on the spot. You think they're going to make it
tonight at Green? Wow, man. What? Thanks, Tim. You're really good about doing this. You were I'd have to take McKinley.
All right.
Because McKinley's schedule.
There's no malarkey in that.
Oh, this guy's good. I'm telling you, he's coming back not for just a third. He might be a permanent here. Mike, Mike, you're in trouble, bud. You're in trouble. Tim's got some chemistry.
We talked about West Branch. Jeremiah Thomas, the quarterback there this year. 448 yards and 6 touchdowns last week. Threw for 205, ran 14 for 243. I mean, those are video game numbers.
Thank you. I was about to exactly say that's the NCAA 24. It's back, and apparently,
oh my goodness! Hats off to Jeremiah Thomas and West Branch.
And our last one, Milan Paris. I was at the game, saw it. 8 catches, 240 yards, 5 TDs. This guy, it was absolutely.
Say that again. 8 catches for what?
240
and 5.
They had it down as 5 TDs. I don't know about the 5 TDs.
No,
I don't think there was 5 TDs by him.
Well,
I'm gonna have to tease Mike about that. I'm gonna highlight that. Mike maybe see. I just read it, and I'm telling you right now, fans, you just caught me. I just lied completely on there because I know I was like, oh, he's at the game, but I don't think Milan had 5. Maybe I could have been completely.
But he had 240 yards. Homecoming last week, right?
There was a lot of stats. I don't know where those. Yeah, that's interesting that we just got that. Feature athlete of this week, though, we are talking about Brennan Funyak. Did I say that correct?
I think you did.
Did I say that correct?
We're going to go with it.
We know that I cannot pronounce at all. The junior running back, linebacker, special teams, just all-around player from Hudson High School, number 26 in your guys' program. His best game is against Stow on 9-13, had 2 TDs and recovered 2 fumbles, and was named Defensive Player of the Week by the coach. Has been Defensive Player of the Week twice so far. So the coaches obviously know exactly where they're getting their production on the defensive side. He's been starting on varsity since his freshman year. Put that in perspective real quick.
You get on the field as a freshman and you're playing varsity minutes on Friday night, you're doing something.
You're an animal. You're a different.
And so year 3 for him, for Brennan.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just completely tearing it up. So he's 5'8", 170. I'm sorry, this is not a put down on Brennan at all. Those aren't that's not over top of the staggering height but it definitely tells you instantaneously about how big that kid's heart is and determination.
He's got a motor at 5'8". Was at first team all suburban last year.
Ridiculous. And then rolling with the 4.0. I like that. I think that's the best stat of everything right there. And he's taken all AP courses.
So one thing you look for in good football players, good wrestlers. And he's a wrestler as well.
Two-sport athletes.
Yeah.
How often are there no longer two-sport athletes? So absolutely. In wrestling and football, hand in hand.
And he's soon to be a 3-sport athlete.
Because what's he planning to do?
Rugby.
Oh, jeez, have you ever been to a rugby match?
I have not been to a rugby match in person, but during COVID, when you're like, what can I watch on TV that has a clock that counts down?
I was watching a lot of cornhole.
There's no cornhole clock. Rugby.
There is. Yeah. I couldn't do rugby.
Yeah.
I would have had separate.
I think Aussie rules probably the closest thing to rugby. Anyway, we're getting off track. He likes to play. He likes math,
which he could help me. We've talked about that. Wants to play football in college and study engineering. So already has a good head on his shoulders because what kid, teenage years is thinking about going into, engineering.
My son, but
nice plug. Yeah. All right, but still, when you're that young,
Go
and you have
Boilermakers.
the ability, when you have the ability to take that on and think about that kids at that age are willing to say, "Hey, I'm going to tackle this." That's impressive. I think that kids, when they know what they want to do and they're ready to set goals and go after them, I got to give kid
Brennan
credit.
Funyak. Remember that name?
No, I think it's ingrained.
Congratulations, Brennan.
So that gets us out of last week. We're moving back into this upcoming week. We've got pick'ems galore. And yes, Tim, you are going to pick right along with us. Mike has already sent his in, so I am cheating and I get to see him. But I think it's going to be a spoiler alert because me and Mike would have picked the exact same way.
All right.
So as I read Mike's, they really are mine. And all honesty, it would have been. So records stand right now. Mike is sitting at 19-6, and me and the fans are both sitting at 17-8, 2 games behind. We're just going to go ahead and we'll know that this week you could either go with us or not. So, all right, as we get into them, Poland Seminary 4-1 is going out to take on South Range 5-0 this week. Do you know anything?
I've got some notes here.
Let me hear them.
All right.
Oh my gosh, I like it.
You got to come prepared.
You're
sitting in the guest chair.
Jeez, he's more
all right.
prepared
So
than a guy
Poland
who's normally here.
Tristan Toy, South Range.
Okay.
Right. 26 touchdowns a year ago. 10 rushing.
Okay.
16 passing. Last week, 106 yards, a touchdown passing, rush for a touchdown. And then there's Aiden Dominguez at South Range. Went for 156 versus Struthers last week. Division 5 state champs from 2 years ago.
Yes.
Be a tough match for Poland Seminary tonight, but a great game. 5-0 South Range against 4-1 Seminary.
The records alone,
fantastic.
You're excited. It's a big youngster. I mean, this is down out east the way, it's a big thing.
Vito Kamara,
all right,
from Poland Seminary, 104-yard pick 6 last week at the end of the first half to put them up 28-0, and they won the game.
When you see, let alone the interception, the yardage that's off of it, you just know the moment of what was going on, where a team's like they're about to score, it's over, and then just
boom, the other way it went.
Crushing.
So great game down in the Youngstown area.
Yeah. Exactly.
Poland Seminary at South Range.
Who you taking?
I got to go with the Division 5 state champs from a couple years ago who went deep in the playoffs. I think Poland Seminary are going to give him a great game. It'll be a great game tonight, but South Range is
all three of us, me, you, Mike, are going South Range. The fans, per the voting, had picked out Poland Seminary. So right now, if the fans are upset, guys, go back, vote. Okay. Well, the vote's not going to matter for this week, but you can't catch it for this upcoming week.
I think Vito needs to come in big this week if they're going to pull off the win.
Our next one, we've got the 1-4 Bookdale Griffs taking on the Firestone Falcons.
All right. So Bookdale.
Yeah. 1-4. Don't get confused by that record.
It's the beginning of the Akron City Series.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Stevie Diamond, Demetrius Coates.
Demetrius Coates.
There we go. That's the connection for Bookdale, and I think that is going to be strong. Firestone, they played well at Lorraine. They've got a couple good close games this season. Last week, Chase Davis with a strip sack and a touchdown by Evan Riley. Off of that, they need the defensive stops and they need some defensive scores They had an 81-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Teron Bowden last week. Firestone needs a defensive score and a special team score again. Otherwise, I'm going with Bookdale.
Yeah, it's Bookdale. It's Bookdale across the board. Myself, Mike, and the fans all went that direction. Carrollton, a 3-2 against Marlington, 1-4, traveling over there to Marlington. The fans went with Carrollton. Mike went with Carrollton.
This is where the transitive value of sports, or however you describe it.
What?
What am I saying?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Everyone stopped listening.
You try and use
What are we
transitive
talking
sports analogies and try to figure out what's happening. Well, these teams have played a lot of PAC teams, and I'm familiar with the PAC because CVCA has played in the PAC all these years, right? So Marlington lost to Northwest 41-14.
Okay.
They lost to Manchester 41-0.
Yes.
Two of the top teams in the PAC. Carrollton played Triway, lost 26-7. So we can safely say that the top of the PAC is probably an echelon above either of these two teams. That said, it'll be a good game tonight. I think it's going to be Carrollton.
Okay. See, we're all going the same direction.
So you talked about Storm Hill. I think you had them on last week, head coach. And I think he gets another win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Ravenna, what do you got on this one? Going over to Cloverleaf.
Ravenna has not scored a point since August 30th.
Okay. Ooh.
3 straight goose eggs.
Yeah.
That's tough.
So you're taking them.
No.
Oh.
Cloverleaf. They've had a soft schedule the last couple of weeks. Garfield, Springfield, and Coventry. They've taken care of business. Last week, Ethan Gray, 70 yards to the house on the first play of the game. Jesus. Look for Ethan Gray tonight and Ravenna.
Yeah, you're taking Ravenna?
Sorry, Cloverleaf.
Oh, I was gonna say. All right, Cloverleaf. All right, we're all going Cloverleaf. Everybody is identical right now between Mike, myself, and Tim, except for the fans on that very first one. So we'll get to the game of the week here in a second, but you made a real good point here a second ago about you've got this knowledge. And we alluded to it in the beginning of the show. Why is it everybody kind of knows you around town and up at CV? I mean, you're just kind of like the guy up there. All right. Like you
at
are
CVCA.
you are all knowledge. You know, a plethora of information about CVCA. How does that come about? Because last year when you filled in, I was like, who?
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy? All right. But then having heard and kind of following along and getting to know you a little bit more over the last year, and obviously getting to sit down today and, take this opportunity for you to fill in, which is great. Who is Tim Nichols? Explain to me. Explain to me.
Who am I and why am I here?
Like,
right?
Yeah, not really. I know why you're here, but but fans out there, or people that are watching, they're like, what's the connection? Why is he's even rocking the CVCA gear right there?
There you go.
See, I feel like I should have worn my Walsh gear. We should have thrown everything off and did
the Battle of Wyoga
we
Lake
should have
right
put
here.
it right down here. We should have had Wyoga. It would have been the way to go. Maybe next year. Next year we'll do that.
Here's how it went down.
Yeah.
So my kids went to CVCA.
Okay.
My son played football at CVCA. He's now at Wheaton College as a senior out in Illinois. Offensive lineman, left tackle at CVCA, center at Wheaton.
Okay.
You go to college.
Your grocery bill was up there.
It still is. When they come home, 4 pounds of taco meat at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night.
You need to invite me over.
Oh,
man.
Tacos.
So he's at Wheaton College.
He's at Wheaton College now. COVID happens, right?
Okay.
Is there going to be football or is there not? You might remember DeWine, Governor DeWine said, okay, we're going to have football about 9 days before the season started in 2020.
Yes.
2 days later, CVCA's got VASJ down for a scrimmage on the Friday. No parents allowed. And I think they put up an iPad in the press box. You've got parents leaning over the fences trying to see what's happening. We can't see what's happening on the iPad, watching online. And we're like, we've got to do something about this.
Yeah.
Well, back when the earth was flat.
What?
Okay.
And when I was in college, I was a broadcast journalism major at Syracuse University.
All right.
Like, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
And so made a few phone calls, made a few contacts, and got into the live stream business. Literally, we're sitting out there at the concession stand at CVCA on Friday afternoon of the first football game, learning how to plug things in and taking video, and took this box down to Fairless.
Okay.
If anyone remembers week 1 of the 2020 season, it's probably a little bit like it's going to be tonight, a monsoon.
You think tonight's going to be bad?
I think it could be the further you go south, but nevertheless.
No fun.
We set up a tent in the stands. One parent is allowed to go to the game at Fairless because DeWine had instituted the 15% capacity restrictions.
Yeah.
So we figured out we're going to live stream this game. And so it began. Somehow we didn't get electrocuted in three rain delays, and we broadcast the live stream of CVCA and Fairless that week. And so began CVCA live stream. And now it's built out. We had students involved. We've done every football game at home the last 4.5 years. We do every home hockey game. We've done some basketball. We've even done some lacrosse. And, I have the gift of gab, as it were.
This is a bad connection right here.
There
this
you go.
is a real bad thing we've got going on here right now.
But we've got some smart people who figure out how to make everything, the wires connect and the sound good.
That's what we need. That's what I need.
There you go.
Just
and we've just built something called CVCA live stream, and you find us on YouTube, you find us on the social media, and that's it.
That's the one thing that out of the COVID that I did like was the ability, and schools just didn't stop. Like that was what was unique about it. Created
exactly. We've continued with it.
How much is that affecting the students? I mean, you're probably at this point though that you've now seen this for, well, it'll be coming up on 4 years, which you will see in an official.
Yeah, this is year 5. Yeah, this is year 5. So we got kids who've graduated. And
so what kind of reaction is coming out of that?
The kids love to watch it, love to see it. The grandparents all over the country love to tune in.
Yeah,
from not just local, but we have a ton of local folks. We just set our record with Lake Catholic, the most watched CVCA live stream game ever in week 2. So
how does someone connect with this?
You can follow CVCA Livestream online on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, at CVCA Livestream, and you can watch us on YouTube also at CVCA Livestream. So it's pretty easy.
So like every time you guys message us like, hey, does someone have a link to this? Well, there was one that was just given right there. So
Boom.
Take advantage of that, and people can watch the game tonight. And tonight you had mentioned, where is CVCA going?
We're on the road at Triway.
That's right.
Down in Massillon.
Triway. And we feel good about that. Well, we'll see. I don't know.
Talk more about that in a little bit.
Well,
there's a microphone I just bumped into.
What do you think? I mean, how do you think it's going to go?
It's a clash of styles. Triway with Luke Starr, who Coach Kelly, Cody Kelly, in his second year loves to throw the ball around. And Luke Starr, 12 touchdown passes already this season in 5 weeks.
How many?
12.
Wow.
CVCA will run the ball. They'll probably pass it 3 times tonight, if that.
Is that the over-under?
That's probably the over-under, and I might take the under if it's really pouring.
Man, you really think it's going to be that big of a monsoon night?
I think the further you go south, it could be some heavy rains.
Yeah,
that hurricane is kind of pushing north.
Right.
I think
I forgot you're going south down there, and I'm going up north.
I think you probably will be more dry than we will be down in Massillon.
See, that's how they treat you up there at John Carroll.
There you go.
They know how to take care of their fans.
So it should be a good game tonight. Triway 5-0, CVCA 3-2, 3 wins in a row. See what happens.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's where Tim's heading. Like I was alluding to, I'm heading up to John Carroll to watch Walsh take on Benedictine.
There's a game.
Happens to be
5-0, 4-1.
Cleveland Browns game of the week got voted into it. So that's a very cool honor for both schools.
Walsh is just clicking on all cylinders,
and it's like a away game, but it's a home game because Walsh has their off season up there at John Carroll, so they're very familiar with the facilities and stuff.
Benedictine, what do you think though? You know much about Benedictine?
Last year, it was that first quarter, it was back and forth. And then I think with like a lot of stuff in high school, once you get to that middle of that second quarter, and then you really see the halftime adjustments and you see the strength conditioning and teams being able to lean on other teams, I think nature takes its course. So I would expect Benedictine, they've got to come out right away and be able to take advantage of their possessions. Walsh is, like you had mentioned, they're clicking on a lot of cylinders. It's all kind of coming together for that, big matchup with Hoban next week. So I wouldn't take it. Walsh is not looking past. It's 100%, 100%, 1,000% agree with that. I just don't think that Coach Alexander is going to allow that. And either you've been paying close enough attention to understand really what that means, because he's got the Warriors playing a little bit different than they have in years past. But again, we'll find out here in the coming weeks of what that really looks like, especially as everything starts to take shape and form. Because Glenville beat St. Ed's last night,
28-27.
Nobody, I think, would have ever taken a Division 4 over a Division 1 team in their right mind. But it's just what teams are playing well at the right time. So those are the big ones for the night that I'm heading to. Other ones that the fans did kind of mention that they wrote in. We had the Hoover and Glen Oak. Who would you take real quick? If you had to just shotgun them.
I think Hoover.
Okay, I would go with you. Green McKinley. You already made me pick McKinley.
I think you got to go with McKinley.
Oh, now you're gonna follow. Okay, see how he is. He set me up earlier. Now he's jumping. He's pitching to my bandwagon. I see how you are, Tim. Next week he'll have a McKinley logo. Exactly. I'm just teasing. All right, the other ones they had mentioned. Tell me about this team Massillon's playing.
DeMatha out of Maryland.
Who,
just a
what, where, when, why?
Nationally ranked team, one of the top teams in the nation year in, year out.
Yeah.
Tradition coming into Ohio. And
what do you got?
You got to go with the home team.
He's going with the home team. He's going Massillon. I'll stay the same. I'll go with Massillon as well. All right, Hudson and Wadsworth.
What a game. What a game. What a season Wadsworth is having. Oh, my goodness.
Talk about a team.
They were down a few in the last couple of years, but this year.
No. Oh, they got over that hurdle of Medina. I think Wadsworth is definitely.
I mean, Hudson is a great program. Mm-hmm. We talked about Brennan Funyak a few moments ago, and he's going to have to be all over the field tonight because Wadsworth is going to bring it.
You're going with Wadsworth?
I think I'll take Wadsworth.
I'll take Wadsworth as well. And the last one that we had in was Streetsboro and Norton.
Norton, a traditionally really good program.
Just beat Field last week.
Yeah. Streetsboro, fantastic. Saw them week one.
Everywhere.
Cohen Klimek at quarterback. They've got the running back.
Freshman, the council kid.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Streetsboro has reloaded.
So we think Streetsboro is going to travel all the way over to Norton. Is that where that is? Are they at Norton or was it at Streetsboro?
That's a good question. I think a good game. I think Streetsboro wins. Fourth quarter, they pull it out.
I would go in that exact same category. Guys, now it leads us to the last and final thing, our game of the week, where we have Highland traveling over to 1-4 Barberton. Highland coming off convincing wins. They're 5-0 for a reason. Mike, again, got to go with Mike's notes because Mike is great about writing this stuff in. He said that it is the offense is the most intriguing part about it is he put as the offense is averaging 42 points a game. Okay, last week against Talmadge, they scored on their first 7 possessions in the first half.
7 for 7 in the first half.
Yeah.
49-0.
There's your video game numbers again. Yeah. Absolutely. So Highland absolutely loves to run the ball. Quarterback Dylan Borla can throw it just as easily. He finished last week 10 of 14 for 281 and 3 TDs. Yeah.
In a half.
Again, part of that whole 7 for 7 as they were just working their way right through there. At running back, they got Casey Myers, who's leading the offense. Last week, 8 times he rushed for 38 yards, but had 2 TDs. So little ground and pound. You can probably see that when they need those big yards, that's kind of the guy they handed off to as well there. He also added 2 receiving TDs from 54 and 51. So being able to catch the ball to the backfield, obviously not just your Mike Allstott.
One was a screenplay for 54. The second one was a wheel route in the next possession for 51.
Gone like the wind, right? So the Hornets will definitely be ready to dominate again tonight. And as Mike has mentioned, the team very, very special. On the other side, I got to interview Coach Gatto.
You had a good time with him?
Great time. It's equivalent to the time I'm having right now. So
there you go. Well, I mean, exactly. you flatter me.
I know. You see him blushing. Tim just turned 4 different shades of red right there. He put it in perspective. He knows that their back's up against the wall. He understands exactly what Highland is bringing to the table tonight. He's got a young team, a lot of injuries going on there. He had mentioned about, but last week did pick up their first win.
They beat Ken Roosevelt 17-3. And this is a program. I think he's won over 70 games in 10 years.
It's not like he doesn't know how to win.
Yeah, he knows how to win, but it's a little bit of a rebuild this year.
So he's leaning on Sean Wright, who had 2 TDs, runs of 15 and 7 last week. Aiden Tritt also threw for 184 on the season with 1 TD, 2 INTs. The Magic defense is being led right now by Trent and DeWitt. DeWitt. I'm sorry. There you go. See, I can't read. DeWitt, who's had 29 tackles, linebacker, tight end, fullback. Donald Casey has 27 tackles. So again, leaning on those younger names. I think Coach Gatto, again, is just trying to make sure that his team is mentally understanding that there's a growth process to everything that is coming. And that's a tough thing to do. And a lot of coaches right now are having these exact same conversations at the end of week 5 because we're seeing it 5-0s. We're seeing 1-4s.
Yep.
If you're an 0-5, how much and how often do you have to continue to go to that attaboy speech? How tough is that over the years that you've witnessed this?
You've got to just kind of pursue and keep going, keep showing up every week, trying to get better.
It's
win the next one, the next play, the next quarter, the next game, whatever, the next drive.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do. Homecoming tonight at Barberton.
Yeah. That's good. He mentioned that at least the fans will be out there, going to be excited about that. Homecoming was last weekend. It's this weekend as well. So I'm going to give you guys the exact same message as last week. Be safe, be careful driving. Remember, all these teenagers are out enjoying their night that you as the parents have paid way too much money for. Okay. I will tell you that first and foremost. But you do that because, you love your kids and you want them to have a special night and a special time. So keeping that in mind when you're out this weekend, because we all know the weather, according to Tim, who just keeps telling me that there's a monsoon. Do you think it's going to be as bad as 2 weeks ago?
No.
3 weeks ago? Was that 3 weeks ago?
That was a monsoon of all monsoons. 3 weeks ago.
When you say monsoon, I think that's what we're in again tonight.
I think we're going to get some good rain tonight. But nevertheless, keeping it on Highland and Barberton.
Yeah.
So watch both your coaches' interviews. Watch your interview with Coach Gatto. Watch Mike's interview with Coach Gibbons. One thing I took away from Coach Gibbons' talk with Mike was he talked about his offensive line, how they started all 14 games last year, and I think most of them are back this year. And if you can have a strong offensive line, the guys in the trenches, they always say at every level of football, the guys in the trenches determine how the game is going to be won or lost.
Yeah.
Highland has got great skill players. They've had to reload on some of them, but that O-line is the core of what the Highland program has going on for it right now. And it's going to take them far this year. It'll take them tonight.
Highlands, when you go all the way out 18, people just think you go right over to 71. They forget that whole area there just jogs up and down 21 and out 18. That's all Highland.
Public school closed enrollment, I think he said during his conversation. I mean, what a crop of kids they got going on.
And it's coming up. I mean, I've played against, my son has played against the Highland youth program in years past, and just the kids and the size, and so it's not even shocking to think that they've been able to keep a nucleus like that together and build exactly what they're doing. And Highland made a deep run last year. I see them doing it again this year. And it just, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be speaking out of turn, they fall into like that Avon area, right, where they get to go through them. Correct?
I think they might.
Yeah.
Don't quote us.
Yeah, exactly. Don't quote me, because I'm not supposed to act like I know what I'm talking about. So, like we had mentioned, heading out down to Triway, heading up to John Carroll tonight. Anything else you want to touch on before
we make picks of this game officially?
I am going to take Highland.
I think we're going to go Highland.
I think everybody was going Highland.
I think Barberton with homecoming, kind of the emotion of that sticks with them for part of the first quarter.
Yeah.
And maybe into the second quarter, but then Highland will pull away.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking as well. I think this whole week we just have that one little difference between everything. So you might have it. If you go 5-0, it's going to be you're going to need to go 5-0 with me. Exactly.
And good for Mike. I guess we're all
Mike's on fire. Mike's ridiculous. I don't know what he started drinking, what colored Gatorade he moved over to, but it's got his brain waves working in the right way, and the guy is just on fire. Mike, you're annoying. I hope you're watching this and you're hearing that. But I do miss you, and we will see. He'll be back next week, and I might have to take a day off, and then you can sit here.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I thank you guys for having me back.
Tim, you're always welcome on the show. It's to finally get down and sit down and talk it up with you. No, man. If you guys are not paying attention to what's going on at CVCA and what he just talked about, hit that little rewind button on whatever you're watching. Go back. You heard it again. What was the name of the website?
At CVCA Livestream on social media. You can find us on YouTube at CVCA Livestream as well.
Perfect. And
we try and do our best. We call it 100% professional production, 100% volunteer. So there you go. You got a game of the week next week.
Maybe. Remember, we weren't even going to go to that. I want to hint at the game of the next week, but we might be making an adjustment to it.
Then I'll let it go.
We might make an adjustment to
it. You will have a game of the week.
We will have a game.
What it will be?
We don't know.
Stay tuned on where can they find out?
They will be able to see it again. Well, we'll put it up on the pick'ems. It'll be
That's
out there.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah, the pick'ems will be back up. Nice segue, man. I like where you're at. All right, so he's telling me basically to do my job. I'm in charge of putting the pick'ems up. You guys will see that on our group page. Go check that out if you guys haven't followed that already. That is off that totally separate high school football 330 to go. Follow that, guys. Go to 330 to go high school football page. Go to there right now.
And go tonight during the games and
Yeah.
after the game, post what happening.
Exactly. We will be putting that post up. What scores are hot in the area as you guys are sitting there enjoying the monsoon. Get your phone out, text out some of the scores, and be able to keep us updated. And we will follow it back up and be back here again next Friday. And we'll be back here running our mouths again about high school football. So
Been good.
I am Matt Magaw, and this was
Tim Nichols.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike Vorhies with Q92 Sports here with Hoover Vikings head football coach Brian Baum. Coach, big win tonight. Take us through it.
You know, we knew we were going to get their best shot. They're a big team, physical. They played some physical football. Really impressed our O-line and D-lines tonight, owning the line of scrimmage. We made the plays we had to. We were a little sloppy in the first half. Went into halftime, got some things cleaned up, and gotta love the effort they had in the second half for us.
Coach, what else can we say about A.J. Dolph? Your running game, it was on point tonight.
Yeah, between him and the O-line, the fullback, the tight end, it was old school Hoover football. That was a lot of fun out there tonight.
What did you like about John Collins and his growth? Only being the starter this is his third game. Able to lead this offense. He looked to make a lot of great decisions tonight.
Yeah, he's doing some good things for us. He's just going to get better. I know our passing game is going to get better, and that's one of the things we know. When you work all summer, getting one kid ready, and then you have to shift gears. Now we're getting some guys ready, and John's doing. He hit Drake on a big play today, and him, Cooper, Andy's, all those guys just got to keep getting the timing down.
Coach, what can you say about your defense? Louisville made it interesting towards the end. What can we say, though, about the defense shutting the door?
Yeah, they did a nice job all night. We gave up a couple big plays there. That's something we have to continue to work on and get better at. We can't give teams opportunities, and we just have to be ready for anything at any time.
Coach, enjoy this win tonight, 23-16 over Louisville. Once again, it is Brian Baum, head coach of the Hoover Vikings. Coach, enjoy this win. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike Vorhies with Q92 Sports here with Hoover Vikings senior tailback, A.J. Dolph. What a night.
Yeah.
It looked as if you were able to run the ball at will tonight. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, our O-line played their butts off. They do every game, but tonight they played, I think, their best game of the whole year. I had open lanes to go through, and like I said, they played their butts off.
Obviously, when you guys switched to that I formation and that stacked I, it made a huge difference. Whose decision was that?
It was just Coach Stigler. We went down there in the locker room at halftime, and he said we were going to start running the I. So, yeah, all credit to him.
When Christian broke that big run towards the end of the game, did you have a feeling it was over at that point?
I knew right then and there it was over. He tried to go down. He got caught right before he got in. I tried to get in, but we scored in the end, so it's all that matters.
What do you have to say about John Collins, his third start? Looked to make some big decisions tonight to help you guys win the game.
Yeah, he's playing his butt off too. He's inexperienced, but he's playing like he's played for 2 years.
So when you hear that you're the Federal League leading rusher, what does that mean to you?
It's an honor. I got my past 2 seasons taken away from me, so I'm just trying to make every moment count, and I'm really making it count now.
Once again, it's A.J. Dolph, senior tailback for the Hoover Vikings. Big win tonight, 23-16 over Louisville. A.J., we appreciate you. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Go enjoy this win, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike Vorhies with Q92 Sports here with Hoover Viking punter, fullback, linebacker, tailback, Cole Remblack. Cole, what a night, 23-16. Take us through this victory.
Yeah, it feels great. We always know that. We always have to win this game. This is not an easy league to win. We always know this team's tough. Well, after a big loss against Green, we know we should have won that game. It always feels great coming back with an amazing victory to win this game at home.
What do you say about your offensive line, able to create holes for you, for Dolph, everybody else, John, everybody running tonight? What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, it's amazing. I finally think they're finally gluing together, and it's amazing how they're gluing together as a team, how they're always working every day, always on Monday. Always Monday starts our offense where they always got to grind. Never easy.
You got to get in the end zone tonight. Walk us through that play a little bit.
Yeah. As soon as I heard our hammer call, our heavy package, I knew when they called that hammer play when they wedged down, I was like, I'm taking it over the top. I don't care what happens, man. I'm taking it over the top just to score.
On defense tonight, you guys made some key plays. What were some of the second half adjustments you guys made?
Yeah, we knew last week against Green, we were in a tough battle. we knew that we were up at the half, and then we knew that we had to come back because we were fighting that whole game in the second half. But we knew 10-0. 10-0 is our mindset coming out of this game, and just keep punishing them. Always big plays, nothing. Always push, nothing else.
You did a great job as punter as well. Once again, it is senior Swiss Army knife for the Hoover Vikings, Cole Remblack. Cole, go enjoy this win.
Thank you.
We appreciate your efforts tonight. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.